So we now move on, and those of us who are have backgrounds with livestock will be really interested in the next one because this is Kieran Fitzgerald, who's Vice President of Digital Services at DeLaval. Anything that we can make our lives easier when handling livestock is welcome. So over to you, Kieran. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And yes, I hope those of us who turned up for a talk today on artificial insemination will not go home disappointed. It's not a typo in the title. It is because I think there is some similarity. I have the unenviable task of being between you all and lunch, which I hope is full of dairy goodness that AI has made possible. I'm Kieran Fitzgerald, and I'm no expert in AI. And I wouldn't even describe myself as a digital native. My grandfather was a dairy farmer, and I developed a love of milking cows and great British agriculture from an early age. That career has always been in dairy, in dairy cow feed, in genetics, where I actually was an AI professional. But at that time, it was much more associated with this glove and this AI gun than it was with building code and algorithms. Since 2011, I've been with DeLaval in various roles, but always connected to how we continue to make better use of the data we have available to us to increase performance, however you measure that. So I intentionally confuse AI, artificial insemination, with artificial intelligence. And of course, today we are here to talk about artificial intelligence, but it shares something in common. See, neither artificial insemination nor artificial intelligence are the result of our effort. And whilst AI is a buzzword and a must-have technology, artificial intelligence is no different from insemination in a way. It is a way to achieve a result. And artificial intelligence is not new, but has developed rapidly in recent years. It's a broad field that can be broken down into a subset of technologies. Some of those we have already seen presented here today. And I'll touch on that a little later. So if AI is a tool to achieve a result, what is that result? Well, it's the same one actually that we've been chasing for 140 years, and that is to produce milk more sustainably. Our purpose is to make sustainable food production possible, and that is something greater than DeLaval, but we have a contribution to make in ensuring that we can meet the needs of today's population without compromising the ability of future generations to meet theirs. It's been said already, but sustainability is more than just being able to make it to 2050 and beyond without screwing up, so to speak. Part of that contribution is very much about supporting the team around the farm. We talked already about providing decision support, making data actionable, and that is absolutely one of the things that I and my 4,800 colleagues around the world try to do on a day-to-day basis. So from over 100 sales locations, R&D centres, not in the UK, relating to one of the questions just asked earlier, but R&D centres the world over, training, manufacturing centres. This diversity is really one of the ingredients which drives innovation, and AI plays an ever-increasing role in what we do today. Just a reminder of why what we do we believe is so important. There is no other company that has been living milk, as we say, for over 140 years. 18 of the 22 essential nutrients, some of which you will partake at lunchtime today, are found to be in milk. They play a really important role in developing human nutrition, especially in childhood. It's a complex food that contains numerous of those ingredients, those nutritional elements essential to life. And dairy consumption is the heart of so many diets and foodstuffs that are eaten and enjoyed all around the world. When it comes to AI, and now I do talk specifically about artificial intelligence, there are actually 4 use cases which I want to explore today, which we are either supporting commercially today with customers or service technicians, or those that we are developing. Before I go into that, I will talk a little bit more generically about AI. Because the connectivity that enables AI to be deployed commercially at scale is remarkable. The connected devices that we have within our portfolio today, and those that you see in your own industries and indeed within your homes, is remarkable. Applies to our business as well. So the individual products and systems that are essentially groups of devices on farms all over the UK and of course the rest of the world, we would ideally have visibility of, know the performance of, and maintain or improve the performance of no matter where we're located. And we're on a journey to scale that infrastructure, the capabilities to allow that to happen, and develop partnerships to realise that goal. Firstly, a warning. It's been mentioned once or twice already, but this is not a perfect world, and not all people have the great intentions that I'm sure we share here today. Cyber and data security is really a serious topic. Farmers are rightly concerned. And as we make our customers' lives and our lives easier by connecting farms, their equipment, their animals, to leverage advances in technology, we take the responsibility to do that securely, ensuring that farm data is protected. It's been commented already that farmers are increasingly aware of their rights as data owners, and it is true to say that the data that we upload from farms is still owned by the producer, which is the farmer. That's a commitment that we make to our customers. And then actually compliance with things like the EU Data Act, Cybersecurity Act, and others have an increasing demand on our time and effort. James had a question earlier about the responsibility that places on the EU Data Act places on companies like DeLaval, IAgrE, and others. And over time, I hope we will begin to see an increased competitive landscape as a consequence of being mandated to make data more available to others to leverage data that we currently have within our own isolated domains. And we do that so that every day we can continue to collect data that will be used to power innovation, so that conclusions can be established to better understand cause and effect. And for us, that could be a cow not producing milk as is expected. It could be the vacuum system supplied to one of our rotary platforms not performing as it should, or at risk of failure. For some farms that operate 24 hours a day, that is really a business risk that they expect to be mitigated. Essentially, what we talk about here is creating a digital twin of a farm, and you will be well aware of those examples. Again, we've seen some here today. The one often quoted is the Rolls-Royce example, whereby they mirror the physical asset in a virtual environment, allowing to test how performance would change as parameters are configured differently, changes that we would deploy to configurations of milking, pulsation ratios, vacuum levels, milking intervals, how they would actually generate a real world outcome for our customers. Predicting future state is one application for AI, and it's one that we see as a real value add to our customers. And I'll touch on one of those use cases specifically in a moment. AI, however, is a kind of a broad umbrella for many disciplines. AI itself is not all that new. It's been around for a number of decades. Machine learning being a subset, around for a little less time, but still, in truth, most of what we do is really machine learning. And then we've seen examples today of deep learning and Gen AI. Go one step further, and we can begin to add agentic AI, whereby we're able to put in place some automated decision-making process to really support real-world outcomes. And those different disciplines, of course, they have specific application for their purpose. And for the most part, I said what we do is really machine learning, and that is to collect labeled data from known events like a cow in heat or a cow with mastitis, and create models that can be used to recognize the same event but in new data sets, so that cows wearing wearables like this that sit in the cow's ear, effectively a Fitbit for a cow, we can identify early onset of disease or changes in behavior that would identify a cow being in heat, and identifying the optimum moment for artificial insemination. The earlier that we're able to detect that new event, that event in new data, the more predictive that model becomes. And we do that today through a model that we call DeLaval Deep Blue. It's one of the many ways that we can create a really empowering user experience. So animal data collected, processed on farm, mirrored through the cloud to DeLaval Plus, which is our customers' performance portal, processed through Deep Blue, so farms are able to see which cows might have mastitis, no matter how they are, so how or where they are in the world. They can interact with one DeLaval system as part of a more holistic user experience. I got a little video that's about just over a minute long that will explain a little bit more about how Deep Blue supports customers today.
DeLaval Deep Blue is our artificial intelligence that helps you do more with the data generated and captured on your farm. For example, cow movement and feeding patterns, or your milking system's vacuum levels, incompletes and downtime, as well as milk volume and somatic cell counts. Using an edge server, all that data is automatically and securely sent to Deep Blue. Once there, Deep Blue is used to navigate in our search for ways to get closer to a full understanding of cause and effect. Deep Blue allows us to point at an event and then let it hunt down patterns that in many instances we didn't even know were there. These findings are then made available to you through your DeLaval Plus performance portal in the form of actionable insights that can help you make more accurate decisions to reach your goals. And the best thing? Deep Blue will learn and evolve as a dataset grows and artificial intelligence discovers new patterns and insights. To find out more about DeLaval Plus and Deep Blue, talk to your DeLaval representative.
So I said there were 4 use cases that I wanted to explore, and the first of which I have touched upon to some degree already, but that is to identify animals in need of attention, and that is, Hugh, to your question, one example of a commercially available AI application that supports the day-to-day life of dairy farmers across the UK and actually around the world. It's a solution that has now around 3,500 farms actively working with disease risk, as it is called, on a day-to-day basis. And disease risk is a model, an ML model that collects data from all of the data points that we have around individual animal, which might only be limited to milking sessions. Could also be activity, behavioral data, somatic cell count data, body condition score data, and all of so that data helps us to identify animals with a risk of any given disease type. And of course, the model needs to be trained to recognize those individual diseases and those that we believe to be at risk, sort of classified as unknown, but certainly an animal in need of attention. And our ambitions, of course, to move the moment in time that we give the user, the farmer, an alert to be in relative terms earlier than they would be able to identify the clinical symptoms of that disease through other methods, most often visual inspection. The earlier that we can do that, the more predictive the model is experienced to be, and of course the outcome for the farm is to be able to intervene at an earlier stage and mitigate whatever risk is associated with the specific disease type. And the diseases that we're identifying today, such as mastitis, ketosis, displaced abomasums, etc., are really those which have quite significant impact into financial performance of an individual animal across the course of a lactation. And so we're talking about payback, the relatively low cost for subscribing to a package that contains disease risk is quite quickly offset against the potential losses of even a few cases of mastitis within a herd. We talked about it becoming actionable. So in the aim here is, of course, to present the user irrespective of what animal sensors, which data we have on any given farm, to present them with one list of cows, one list of sick cows that need their attention. And the more accurately we can identify the disease type, the quicker they're able to intervene and mitigate the risk to future production. And the picture on that you see in front of you is Elaine Smith, a farm actually not all that far from where I am now in Lancashire. And again, another short video, and I'll let you hear from her husband, Paul, his experience having worked with disease risk now for a number of months.
Disease risk has helped me simplify my routine. Before, it just took more time. It just took a little bit of time. You had to actually search out the cows and physically go and see how they were. Whereas now, with the health report, we go in first thing in the morning, we check the disease report list. So it's like we've got somebody else checking over our cows all the time. It saves us a lot of time. It does help us treat cows faster because it gives you a graph of how the cow's doing. So it'll tell you if it's mastitis, ketosis, or several other diseases that you can come up with. Disease risk does help us with saving money as well. If we put antibiotics in the cows, we have to dump the milk. So that's a cost to us. DeLaval Plus, now on my phone as well, gives me better.
Well, in the interest of time, I will cut that one short. So the second one that I want to highlight is around improving performance. And here, and this is not something that's in production today, this is most certainly a PowerPoint hack, is the concept of automated decision support. So based upon the information, the data that we collect about the performance of any given farm, what are the actions that will have the greatest effect on either mitigating risk or improving performance, the so-called decision support or next best action, which is a business process management technology that allows you to either create a curated list of prioritized actions that will allow you to drive performance according to your specific farm and specific farm conditions. And that could be milking system optimization, it could be animal management related, but those automated decision supporting outcomes according to success criteria dictated by the farm are one other application that we see for AI. And we do that today in an albeit more simple form. So based upon the progesterone profiles that we collect of individual animals on a farm, we're able to start to give herd level recommendations or individual animal recommendations that are specific to the scenario on a given customer's farm on a given day that would allow them to improve performance. I said I would also mention some use cases that support our service technicians, and Deep Blue Assistance is one, and this you will be familiar with yourselves. You will all have tried Gemini or Copilot, ChatGPT to try and find information much more quickly than you can through what you may describe as conventional methods, conventional search or glossaries. But we, as many organizations, have a huge wealth of knowledge capital that's documented in several systems, in fact. And for time, we have expected technicians to be able to search out the information that they require in those respective systems. Pulling that together through Deep Blue Assistance, which is a Gen AI ChatGPT based agent, being able to provide answers to questions that are asked. Of course, it's trained based upon content that we provide for that within the DeLaval domain. As much as we love our competitors, I wouldn't want ChatGPT to recommend competitor spare part or competitor teat dip to a question asked by one of our own service technicians. So we do, of course, narrow the content that is used to train those agents within the DeLaval domain. The final one that I want to highlight, and this really is one that we are still learning, I would say, is around predictive AI. I talked about the concept of a digital twin, and ultimately we believe this will result into service technicians being alerted to the risk of failure of a component before it happens. So building predictive maintenance models for milking equipment, which again we do today in a rather more simplistic way, around the vacuum supply on some installations to identify if the vacuum profile of an individual milking point is within the preset thresholds, and if not, it's an early indication that there's something wrong with either a pulsator or the vacuum supply itself. And the other is is being able to automate fault detection in things like the compute nodes that are deployed on farm to triangulate cow position or manage the data upload from an individual farm. And over time, you consume the solid state disk resource, and of course we can monitor that in real time and be able to predict the likelihood of failure within sort of a future time frame. But that's really scratching the surface of what sort of predictive maintenance models would be able to do for us in future. And this is somewhere that we are currently investing in research and development efforts, and somewhere we really see added value. So this is really still the beginning, and this beginning is a journey that's not about technology. That technology is an enabler. It's about giving people the tools to be better at what they do tomorrow than they are today. And so will artificial intelligence revolutionize agriculture? Revolutionize is a strong word, and I'm not so sure that it will revolutionize ag, but it will certainly accelerate progression. And AI will not replace the need for excellent herdspeople, but it will allow excellent herdspeople and all those in the team around the farm to excel at what they're already so good at. And with that, I will say thank you and hand back over to Olivia.
Thank you, Kieran. That was really interesting. I think that point about AI being a co-pilot and a part of the team is a really good way of explaining it. Dairy, as you say, seems to be one of those industries which is, an early adopter. Would you have any statistics on how many dairy farms you think are using some form of AI? We know this technology has been available, as you say, for quite a while, hasn't it?
In sort of general industry terms, no, I don't. What I can reference is that we have around a 20%, 25%, sorry, penetration of AI-based services into our customer base in mature markets. Mature markets being typically Europe, Americas. And the adoption lags in other parts of the world, but that's not necessarily as a consequence of the customers or farmers not being prepared to adopt. It's more our maturity to deploy.
Thank you. And a question from someone who's worked in robotics. The question, are you incorporating visual sensors into your analysis of an animal, for example, using condition scores to highlight health issues and so on?
Yes. So there are two cases today. Of course, we use vision technology to be able to automate the attachment of a teacup to a cow in a voluntary milking system. And then specifically the example last, yes, we use vision technology to measure a body condition score or interpret the body condition score of a cow based upon vision technology.
And in your messaging to customers or potential customers, how do you balance that automated monitoring with the irreplaceable role of human observation, care, and as you say, the skill of a good herdsperson?
I think it's a great question. I'm not sure we've cracked it. I mean, we don't, as I said in the closing remarks, the technology here will not replace the need for good herdspeople, but it will help good people be better. And ultimately, the technology has not got to a point today where we could, with confidence, prescribe antibiotic treatment for a given disease type. That still needs to be the decision of somebody with competence that knows more about the animal than purely the data. I mean, there's a lot of information that we don't see. So I think we are really providing the tools to enable better, more timely, more accurate decision making. But ultimately, as we are today, with the maturity that we have, the decision to intervene still needs to rest with a qualified, competent person who can see the whole animal.
And a commercial question here about we're all used to subscription models, aren't we? Farmer's Guardian being one of them. Will AI cause a shift to this, more subscription type of modeling rather than the more transition purchase a product model? He says, I assume this has implications for manufacturers and dealers when supporting AI products. How does that play into things?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure that AI itself does drive that, but certainly the value that AI allows us to create in the real time way in which it's consumed, and those those products are maintained over their product life cycle, I think naturally moves us towards a subscription or consumption-based model rather than the traditional sort of licensed approach, one-time buy.
Yeah, and there's a debate happening in the chat now about data. Surprise, surprise, and who owns it, and the value of that data as well. How does DeLaval approach the questions raised earlier of data ownership, and the request from the Fernando talking about opening up codes to others?
I think without question, the farmer owns the data. Of course, there are DeLaval proprietary models that run on that data, which add value to it. I've talked about the progesterone profiles and interpretation of the moment to inseminate a cow. Well, that's something that's unique to us. It's not something that we would like to share. But certainly the outcome of that, the cow being in heat, is something that we are very willing to and actually want to be able to make an available asset that other system integrators on farm, some of those are sort of allied, some of them are direct competition, but with which they're able to consume that. So the outcome of our proprietary models, yes, they can make use of, but there is a balance, and we are in a competitive environment, and I think we would be naive to ignore that point.
Well, thank you very much, Kieran, for answering those questions so candidly. We really appreciate that.